We continue with case number 2, wherein the denominator has repeated linear factors. So by repeated linear factors, we mean here that the denominator has a factor of the form given by ax plus b to the nth power, where n is greater than 1. So if this is a factor of the denominator, then corresponding to this factor is the sum of n partial fractions. So if you'd recall dun sa case na distinct yung linear factors, meron ka lang isa per linear factor na nasa denominator. Pero kapag meron kang ax plus b to the n, meron kang n din na linear factors. Pero hindi siya puro ax plus b lang yung denominator. For this case, the first partial fraction would have denominator ax plus b. Yung second, if you notice here, would be ax plus b squared until you have here ax plus b to the nth power, wherein there in fact is no difference in the numerator. So, puro constant pa rin siya. So, that would be a1, a2, an. So, that is, kapag meron kang linear factor, palaging constant lang yung corresponding niya na numerator. Nag-vary nga lang yung nasa denominator niya. Depende kung meron kang repeated linear factor or distinct siya. So, as an example, let's find here an antiderivative of x squared plus 3x minus 2 all over 2x cubed minus x squared. So, notice here na yung denominator natin can be written in terms of the following. So again, note that 2x cubed minus x squared can be written now as x squared multiplied by 2x minus 1. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayo ditong ilang partial fractions. Meron tayong tatlo. So, yung integrand given here by x squared plus 3x minus 2 all over 2x cubed minus x squared can be written now as x squared plus 3x minus 2 all over x squared times 2x minus 1. And so, kung isusulat natin siya in terms of its partial fractions, again, yung x squared is a linear factor na repeated. So, meron kang dalawang copy ng x, tas isang copy ng 2x minus 1. So, pwede natin gamitin yung case number 1 for the case of 2x minus 1, and then case number 2 for the case of x squared. So, that is, yung partial fractions natin has the following denominators. For x squared, yung una would be x, yung pangalawa would be x squared, again, by case number 2. Tapos, for 2x minus 1, again, distinct linear factor, so you have here 2x minus 1 lang. Tapos, puro constant lang yung numerator nila. Kasi lahat sila nagko-correspond sa linear factor. So, you have here a, b, and c, for example. So, if you multiply both sides by x squared times 2x minus 1, which is yung LCD, then meron kang x squared plus 3x minus 2 equal now to this a over x multiplied by x squared times 2x minus 1 can be written now as ax times 2x minus 1 plus b over x squared times 2x minus 1 would be b times 2x minus 1 plus c x squared. So, pwede tayong gumamit nung alternative kanina by substituting values of x. Or pwede rin naman na mag-compare ng coefficients. So, yung comparing of coefficients, iwan ko na lang sa inyo as an exercise. If you substitute values of x, notice here na merong factor na x kasama si a. So, pag nag-let ka ng 0, mawawala tong part na to. Tapos mawawala rin yung cx squared kapag nag-let tayo ng x na 0. Which means matitira lang yung term na may b. So, if we let x equal 0, yung left-hand side natin would be negative 2. Tapos, yung right-hand side natin would be 0 plus b times negative 1 plus 0. So, this implies here na negative 2 is equal to negative b. So, yung b natin would be equal now to 2. Ano pang value yung pwede natin i-substitute? Again, gusto natin mag-vanish yung mga terms. So, pwede natin i-substitute instead ngayon yung magpapa-0 kay 2x minus 1. So, we could let here x equals 1 half. So, when x is equal to 1 half, um, yung nasa left-hand side would be 1/4 plus 3 halves minus 2. Again, 1/4 plus 6 over 4. So that would be 7 over 4 minus 2. So minus 8 over 4. So that would be negative 1/4 equal now to, again, ax times 2x minus 1 vanishes. Same goes with b times 2x minus 1. C times x squared would be c times 1/4. So that would be 1/4 c. So this implies here that c is equal now to 1. Yung tanong would be, paano ngayon yung a? Kasi pag naglat ka ng 0 and 1 half, laging nawawala yung a na portion. So since alam mo na yung value ng b sa ng c, kahit anong value ng x, pwede mo na i-substitute. So something easy. We could substitute here x equals 1. When x is equal to 1, yung left-hand side would be 1 plus 3 minus 2, so that would be 2. Yung right-hand side natin would be a times 1 times 1, so that would be a, plus b times 1, so that would be b, plus c times 1, so that would be c. And so, yung a natin for this example would be a, uh, that would be a equals 2 minus b, which is 2, minus c, which is 1. C is negative 1. Sorry. So a here is equal now to 1. Hence, the integral now of x squared plus 3x minus 2 all over x squared times 2x minus 1 with respect to x is equal to the integral of a over x, which is 1 over x, b over x squared, so that would be plus 2 over x squared, minus c, plus c, which is minus 1 over 2x minus 1, with respect to x, is equal now to the following. So, yung antiderivative ni 1 over x is ln absolute value of x. For 2 over x squared, 2x raised to negative 2, yung antiderivative niya would be 2x raised to negative 1 over negative 1. So that would be negative 2 over x. And then minus, for 1 over 2x minus 1, again, linear substitution lang ng 2x minus 1, pwede natin ito yung shortcut. So that would be ln absolute value of 2x minus 1. Kasi 1 over yung form niya, divided by yung coefficient ni x. So that would be 1 over 2. And then plus the constant c. And so this is our final answer. Let's proceed now with example number 3. Let's find here an antiderivative for x minus 5 divided by x plus 1 squared times x minus 2. So, naka-factor na yung denominator natin, which saves us time. So, we could take a look at the partial fraction decomposition. So, notice that if we write x minus 5 divided by x plus 1 squared times x minus 2 in terms of its partial fractions, then x plus 1 squared repeated linear factor, so meron kang dalawang partial fractions sa kanya, one with denominator x plus 1, the other with denominator x plus 1 squared. Tapos, x minus 2, ganun din, distinct factor, case number 1, meron kang isang partial fraction. Pero yung numerator nila would be constant lahat. So, say you have here a, b, and then c. So, multiplying both sides by x plus 1 squared times x minus 2, yung left-hand side would be x minus 5 na lang. Tapos yung right-hand side natin will be a times x plus 1 times x minus 2 plus b times x minus 2 plus c times x plus 1 squared. So, if we substitute values of x, if we let x equal now to, magpapa-0 um, kay x plus 1, let's have negative 1. So left-hand side would be negative 1 minus 5, so that would be negative 6, equal now to 0 yung first term sa right-hand side, plus negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3, so that would be negative 3b. 0 din yung c times x plus 1 squared. So this implies here na meron tayong b equal now to negative 6 over negative 3. So yung b natin ay 2. While if we let x equals 2 instead, x equals 2 yung magpapa-0 ngayon kay x minus 2. So if you have x equals 2, yung nasa left would be 2 minus 5, so that would be negative 3. Yung nasa right would be 0 yung first two terms. Yung last term natin would be 2 plus 1, which is 3 squared, so that would be 9c. Or that is, yung c natin dito is equal now to negative 1/3. While for the last term, let's have kayo bahala, x equals 1, x equals 0, pwede rin naman. Let's have x equals 0 na lang. So, meron tayo ditong left-hand side na negative 5, equal ngayon kay, when x is 0, meron kang a times 1 times negative 2, so that would be minus 2a, plus minus 2b, tapos meron kang plus c, which means here na meron na tayong value for a, equal now to 1/3. Pa-compute na lang for this case. So hence, to integrate now, we have the integral of x minus 5 divided by x plus 1 squared times x minus 2 with respect to x is equal now to the antiderivative of a over x plus 1, so that would be 1/3 times 1 over x plus 1, plus b, which is 2 over x plus 1 squared, plus c, so that would be minus 1/3 times 1 over x minus 2 with respect to x. And so to integrate now, this is equal to 1/3. Integral ng 1 over x plus 1, again, linear substitution ng x plus 1 will give you ln absolute value of x plus 1. 2 over x plus 1 squared, linear substitution ulit ng x plus 1, that is antiderivative ng 2 over u squared. So this is negative 2 over x plus 1. And then minus 1/3, linear substitution ng 1 over, ng x minus 2, I mean. So that would be ln absolute value of x minus 2, and then plus the constant c. And so this is our final answer. So this ends part number 2 of this lecture. Please proceed to the next clip for part number 3.